have reached Red Steele's Ahsoka review. I'm your man, Red Steele, and today I'll be reviewing from G.I. Joe Classified Series, Beachhead. G.I. Joe Classified Series, Beachhead. But before I get to the actual review, I just want to go over some of the old school details on this packaging. Up front here, you have two cool blister trays showing you both the figure and all the accessories inside. In the top corner, you have a 4+, which is the age requirement for this figure. Across the top, you have the G.I. Joe logo. Below that, it says Beachhead. And over here, you have this awesome vintage illustration of Beachhead. In the corner here, you have the old school Hasbro emblem. On the back of the packaging here, on the very top, you have the G.I. Joe logo. In the middle here, you have a file card that reads Beachhead. Real name, Wayne R. Sneeden. Role, Ranger. Primary specialty, Infantry. Secondary specialty, Small Arms Armor. Birthplace, Auburn, Alabama. Over here it says, Beachhead was a lane instructor at Ranger School and an observer advisor at the Cobra Op School in Central America. He is meticulous, patient, and strong-willed. He doesn't get angry, he gets even. And over here you have a cross of all the other available figures. G.I. Joe Classified Series Retro Cardback Beachhead. Beachhead was released July 2024 with the suggested retail price of $24.99, and he was available at all major retailers. Beachhead was released along with the other G.I. Joe Classified Series Retro Cardback Wave 2 figures, Cobra Eel, and Snow Serpent. Beachhead has multiple points of articulation for dynamic posability. His accessories include a backpack, crossbow, satchel bag, 2 grenades, 2 knives, pistol with suppressor, rifle with suppressor, and figure stand. Beachhead stands 6 inches tall, and he is meant for fans ages 8 and up. Now that Beachhead on my display table, so I'm going to go over some of his play features and accessories. First by talking about his display stand. And these display stands are exclusive to the G.I. Joe Classified Series Retro Cardback figures, and they're a nice addition to these figures. And you got some nice detail here too. You got this more detail in front here with the G.I. Joe logo. You got these pegs for his feet. You flip it over, you have this little groove here, and it shows for a nameplate of some sort. I want to put Beachhead on his display stand. On the bottom of his feet here, you have 2 portholes right here. I want to plug them right into his feet, just like that, and just like that. And now you have Beachhead on his display stand. And these are a welcome addition to these figures because with the mainline figures, they do not include these display stands. And I have a lot of those mainline figures that when you have them fully armed and ready, they become very top heavy, so they do not stand well on their own. So these display stands are a great plus to these figures, and I do love these retro cardback figures. And I'm kind of almost swaying away from the mainline figures and just sticking to the retro cardback figures. But these figures are fantastic, and these are my G.I. Joes. I mean, I grew up with G.I. Joe in the 80s and early 90s, so a lot of these retro cardback figures are a throwback to that era of G.I. Joe. The next accessory I want to bring in is this pistol. And this pistol also includes a suppressor, which is a silencer. And the detail on this pistol is fantastic. I mean, you got a lot of mold detail. You also have this barrel detail where you have a little porthole. That porthole is for the suppressor. So you can plug the suppressor in the front of this pistol just like that. And the nice thing about the G.I. Joe Classified Series figures is a lot of the hands have trigger fingers. You see the thumb and the trigger finger right there. This figure doesn't really have a prominent trigger finger for the right hand. So I'm going to probably arm the pistol in his left hand here. In order to arm him, sometimes I just tend to pry these fingers open because they do open up and they do conform to the original shape over time. But you have to kind of race the figure a little bit and slip the pistol right into his hand before the hand conforms to its original shape. You slip the index finger into the trigger hole right there, and now you have Beachhead armed with this pistol and suppressor. But the one trademark thing I like about these G.I. Joe Classified Series figures is they have functioning holsters and places to store your weapons on the figure, which I think is fantastic. And that's something that, you know, G.I. Joe Classified Series needs that, because the original retro figures that came out in the 80s, they had weapons that were in holsters, but they're molded as part of the figures. So the nice thing is, the advancements in technology now, they can make the holsters actually be actual containers for these weapons. So I'm going to go and put the pistol right into his holster, just like that. And the suppressor has a little holster for its right in the front too, just like that. The next accessory I want to bring in is his combat knife. This combat knife is fantastic. You got some great mold detail for the handle here. You have the blade here, which is painted out metallic silver paint, where you shine just certain angles of the light. It has that dull metallic luster. And it's out of rubbery plastic, so if it gets in the wrong hands, you're not going to have any kids stabbing or causing any damage. I mean, it is pointed, so you do have to beware to a certain degree, but it's not gonna, you know, cause too much damage. But it does bend away when you put enough force behind it. We're gonna order arm beachhead with this knife. You slip it right into his hand, just like that. And now you have beachhead armed with his blade. And you also have a holster for this blade, and that holster is right on his hip right here. You slide that blade right into that holster, just like that. And you get another combat knife, but it's a smaller one. The same thing. It's a little bit smaller, so there's not a lot of give behind it. So this one could cause a little bit of damage if it gets in the wrong hands. It's still a sharp blade, as you can see. It has that handle detail where it's black this time. Blade detail is silver metallic paint, also very, very nicely done. And I do like that they're doing this as opposed to doing the chroming, because chroming does have a shelf life where it tends to either fade or chip. And same thing, you slip it right into his fist, just like you did with the other knife. Or you have a holster on his boot right here, which is really, really cool. So if he's, you know, if he's in certain sticky situations, he just pulls out of his boot and, you know, he's got his knife. Very, very cool. The next accessory I want to bring in is his satchel. And I don't really recall if he had a satchel, but I mean, these G.I. Joe figures from the 80s came chock full of weapons and accessories, so I'm sure he did come with a satchel. In order to put the satchel on, you slip right over his shoulder just like that, or you put over his head, or it kind of goes over just like that. His next accessory I'm bringing in is his backpack. I don't want to take the satchel off because I'm not sure if the backpack will work with the satchel. You have this backpack right here, and you have some molded weaponry on it. You have some little arrows here for his crossbow. Looks like you have a flashlight right here, and you have a rocket for his rocket launcher, which he did not come with a rocket launcher, but it's pretty cool anyways. You got a couple pockets right here, and it doesn't open up or anything. It's just a completely molded accessory. But in the back of this backpack, you have a little peg right here. In the center of Beachhead's back, you have a porthole. You take that backpack and just plug it right into his back, just like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab the satchel now. The satchel has some detail. I'm not sure what the satchel is supposed to contain. It has three little compartments right here with three nozzles on the top here. I'm going to go ahead and take Beachhead and put that satchel over his shoulder and perhaps over his opposite shoulder, so it looks like he's fully armed and ready for battle. Very, very cool looking figure. The next accessory I'm bringing in is his crossbow. And I'm not sure if he really used a crossbow in the actual G.I. Joe All-American Hero series, but same thing. You can take the crossbow and push it right into his hand, and if you want to pull his fingers out and kind of let it conform over time, you can do that also. I'm going to go ahead and just put that right into his hand, and now you have Beachhead armed with this crossbow. And I noticed with this green plastic, when you put any force behind it, you get little stress marks on him. So be very careful with this figure when you're arming him or when you're trying to like do whatever with these weapons, because it seems like the stress marks become very pronounced very easily with this green plastic. So I'll put this off to the side. So the next accessory I'm bringing in are little grenades, and unfortunately, and I'm very surprised they didn't do this, there's no places to store these grenades on Beachhead. There's no bandolier or no pockets, but I'm sure there's ways that you can hold it if you go and you tap with his fingers like you did earlier. You put these grenades right into his hand, which is a little tough because it doesn't really have the opening for that, but you could probably fit these in. It's kind of hard to, there we go, I got it right into his hand just like that, so you have him armed with his grenade. But I'm just a little disappointed they didn't figure out like little ways of arming the grenades. You have a molded detail right there with grenade on it, but yeah, they didn't really do that with Beachhead. So you have 2 grenades here as an accessory. Pretty cool accessory. And the final weapon I want to bring in is his rifle with a suppressor. And I think it's really cool because the suppressor has a little porthole, and then the rifle has that little nozzle right there. You go and plug the suppressor, and like I mentioned earlier on with that green plastic, I already have a stress mark on the end of that rifle. I don't know if you guys can see that too well. So you want to be very careful with this green plastic. And I know there's ways of remedying these stress marks, and you just boil it in some hot water if you want to risk that. But plastic tends to get softer when you boil it, so you don't want to deform your weapon in any form. And I think this comes out too, this cartridge, which is really cool because that's another trademark feature of these G.I. Joe Classified Series figures, where you could arm your, or restock your weapon or rearm them with these cartridges. Very, very cool. But our armed Beachhead with this little assault rifle with suppressor, he's put it right into his hand just like that, put his index finger into the trigger hole just like that, and now you have Beachhead armed with this rifle with suppressor. Very cool figure. Lots of great mold detail on this figure. I mean, if you look at the face here, so nicely done. There's so many pockets, there's so much detail, even with the pants here. You get the fabric detail for the legs right here. You get the boot detail. It's just so nicely done. It's the figure all the way around. And I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Beachhead because there's so many characters in G.I. Joe to fall in love with. And Beachhead kind of, to me, got lost in a shuffle. But having him now, just looking at him now, I kind of appreciate him a little bit more because he is a very cool figure. And he actually ranks very high in the G.I. Joe ranks. I believe he's like number 2 or 3. I think it's Duke, Flint, then Beachhead. Or maybe, no, I'm sorry, I said correct. I think this Hawk is number 1, then it's Duke, then it's Flint, then it's Beachhead. So Beachhead's number 4, but he is ranked very high in the G.I. Joe ranks. Very cool figure. But if you guys found any of the information in this video valuable, please like and share this video. Also, if you really enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel, and while you're there, click the bell to be notified of any future videos. I want to thank you guys for watching Red Seal's Toy Book Review. I'll check you guys out next time.